this is the most difficult kind of interview to do with Trevor Oldfield because you and I go back, well, you must have been in primary school 30 odd years ago.
Absolutely.
And I first bumped into you, you were working at Westmead Hospital. And even in those early days, I thought, this man, Trevor Oldfield, has a tremendous story to tell. And at last, we're going to share some of that story. The boy from Layla Park, eh?
Good old Layla Park, wonderful.
You went to what school in Blacktown?
I went to St Patrick's in Blacktown, and prior to that I went to Layla Park Primary School, but St Patrick's for my secondary schooling, yeah.
So why'd you call yourself Barry there?
Well, long story. I was christened Barry Trevor Oldfield, but at just a couple of months old, my mum and dad decided to call me Trevor because we had an Uncle Barry living with us in the home.
Oh, it gets complicated.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't getting confused when they yelled out my name at 3 months, but someone thought that may happen down the track. So, and then I thought I'd be smart when I went to St Pat's to revert back to my original name of Barry Trevor Oldfield.
And when you were at St Pat's at the age of 14, already you were starting to sprout these feelings that you want to do something with the community. And you joined an organisation which long changed their name. What was it?
That was Civil Defence, now called State Emergency Services.
At 14 years of age?
At 14, yes. I just had a desire to get out there in the community and help people and try and make a difference. And I joined them at 14 and joined their rescue division. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
You would have been around at the time of the Granville train disaster.
Yeah, look, after that, when I was about 18 or 19, certainly I was at that disaster. Not a great memory, obviously. It's not the sort of thing you like to recall, but I'm pleased that I was able to help in some small way.
Yeah. Did that change your life?
Look, I think it did. At that age, you see things that you only ever seen on TV, and you look at life differently. Yeah. People lost their lives, others were maimed for life. It changed so many lives. It changed the community and changed the community attitude greatly. And I'm probably looking back now. I'm appreciative of the fact that I had that experience because I think it cemented my values and my need to do something for the community.
Yeah. You're married about 19 or 20 years of age.
Yeah.
You had lost a child in a pregnancy thing.
Yes.
And I want to link that back. Was that part of the driving force why you wanted to start a charity called Kids West? And this is when I first caught up with you and the team at Westmead Hospital in those days. Was that a driving force saying we need more equipment in these hospitals for young kids?
Look, I think it had something to do with it. It was certainly in my mind at the time when I was asked to help raise some funds for paediatric ward at Westmead, and we came up with the idea of starting a children's charity. Everyone laughed at that at the time, but Professor Ruben Dubois down there was very passionate. Pete, you were on that first committee, and it was wonderful to bring together you at the time from 2WS, from what I recall, and we had representatives from the ambulance, Kevin Adamson, who still is on the committee, which is fantastic. We had the police department represented. We had McDonald's represented. We had a lot of key people in the community, and at the time, I was on the board of Wentworth Leagues Club, so I wore a couple of hats, and just to get this group of people together that all had a passion for raising money for what was seen as an area, Westmead, where the funding wasn't available. Camperdown Children's Hospital hadn't moved out at that stage, and there was certainly a lack of funding and a lack of equipment. So, we got together and off we went to raise some money.
And raise some money you did. Over the years now, how many millions do you reckon Kids West has raised and donated back?
Just short of $5 million
That's
that we've
bad,
ploughed back into the community, which is wonderful. I mean, I just, that makes you feel good. And having two people that are still there today after 23 years is fantastic. And others that have been on the committee 18 to 20 years, that's wonderful to have that commitment.
Yeah. And most of the money's in those early days was raised through clubs because with your connection with the club industry, you had, you call it bingo or housey or whatever, and a lot of that money was raised for Kids West.
Oh, it certainly was. I mean, when we first started off, as you know, we were running market days and things, and I can recall Pete, you volunteering at a market day at Ringrose Park next to Wentworthville Leagues Club.
I still have the scars on my hands.
You still have the scars. The fire brigade was there, and who's going to abseil from the rope? Well,
they didn't tell me you're not supposed to hang on to it.
I can do that. This is important, and a little bit of a slip and burnt your hands, and the rest is history.
But the thing was, Kids West is out there. There was promotion out there, and there was money, and it's being raised, and it's been going on for so many years. But that's only just one of the many things you're involved in. You have that sense of community, and you were telling me earlier today that you met a man when you were working for Crown Forklifts, and he said something to you that stuck in my mind about, we are here on this earth to put shoes on kids, is that right?
Yeah, look, I work for a company called Crown Lift Trucks, and Bernie Whelan was the head of Crown Australasia, lovely guy. Has had a bit of a sad life in respects. He lost his wife. They never found her. They believe murdered. But his view was that we're here to put shoes on kids' feet. Yeah. And that's what he believed in, and that's the thought process that came down from the board of that company right through, drilled down through all the employees, that let's not forget why we're here. And that's a wonderful thing. When I think back on those times, and someone with such a passion for the community and for families, it's just marvellous.
You're involved in business, and you've always been involved in business at different levels, and Parramatta Chamber, now Blacktown Business Chamber. You're the president there. So what are you doing there? What are you doing? You're sort of, I know you're passionate.
Yeah, look, I love it. I spent 10 years on Parramatta Chamber, and some of those as president. And in our 100th year, our 100th anniversary, we wanted to give something back to the community. And Blacktown hadn't had a chamber for some 15 years. And a couple of us, Frank Webb and myself, went across there to help them put together a chamber. And we did that, and found ourselves right in the middle of it. So 18 months later, we're still there. Yes, I'm president. Frank's there on the board, also our treasurer. We've got 9 board members and some very passionate people about improving the business community in and around Blacktown.
You spent 20 years really involved with Wenty Leagues Club.
Yeah.
And most of that 20 years you're either on the board or 10 years as president.
Yeah.
What did that teach you?
Well, look, 35 years in total at Wenty Leagues. I mean, I worked there for 15 years before I decided to go on the board. Wonderful club. I mean, real community club, and I had aspirations for the club to grow in terms of how they better serve the community, sporting for the kids and so forth. So I jumped on the board there because I thought I had something different to offer, a different viewpoint. Yeah. And some of the directors were sort of aged, which is fine. I mean, and they were people that certainly had the place at heart. But how do we go to the next step? So I enjoyed my time at Wenty Leagues. It was a big part of my life, and being 10 years as president, it taught me a lot, but I was able to help steer the ship in a new direction. And if you look at it now, it's an amazing, one-stop shop.
It certainly is. Now, Trevor, you've been mentioned in Parliament in good terms. What was all that about?
Look, I think that's when I received my AM award. There was certainly a mention in Parliament, and that was an amazing time for me. It was a great experience, and a lot more deserving than what I am, let me tell you. But it was lovely that people thought of me such as they did.
That was about 2006, I think. From the Hansard.
Right.
That was also about the same time when, I'll revert back to your club industry. Clubs were against the government and the taxation, roughly about that period of time. So what was your stance on the government moving into the clubs and ripping money out?
Well, I think the government lost sight of why the clubs were actually there, and they seen them as an absolute cash cow, and decided to up the gaming tax. On top of that was the crackdown on smoking and a whole bunch of stuff. So clubs started to really suffer. What concerned me was the smaller clubs. I was involved in a large club, and I think that we had enough behind us to cater in those rocky times. But some of those smaller clubs actually folded.
They're gone.
They're gone. They're gone, and they're clubs that serve the community. And for some of the older people in the community, that was their only outing.
Because a lot of people found it hard to get their head around the fact that being a member of a club, you are an owner of the club, you've already paid your taxes, and you put money into something you own.
Sure.
And all of a sudden that money gets re-taxed again and goes back to the government.
Yeah, absolutely. It just doesn't make sense. Yeah. The government's not prepared to put their hand in their pocket to support community initiatives, and that's something that the clubs are very good at, and then they want to rip the money back out of the club so that they're hamstrung and can't do that either. Yeah. So it just doesn't make sense because it leaves a gap that needs to be filled.
In your time with clubs and in your time with your general duty to the community, you're involved with the Millennium Foundation. Now, the name is familiar to a lot of people, but it's what it's about is not so clear. But the Millennium Foundation, you're involved with what?
Yeah,
was
the Millennium Foundation at Westmead, it's primarily a research centre. And I was on the board for about 6 years of the foundation just to raise funds for research.
The kind of research was what?
Well, research into various cancers, leukemia and childhood cancers and so forth. That was very, very big on the agenda. Yeah. And I think some of that research is actually reflected in today's ability to arrest some of these cancers a lot earlier. And there's a lot more people surviving that have been struck by cancer today than there were 10 years ago. It's amazing the difference, and it's only through research we're able to find those cures or be able to somehow give some benefit to the whole process. And you need funds to do that. And again, there's an area that the government has been reluctant to put their hand in their pocket. So it's been left up to the community. And clubs in the community played a big part in that as well. So it was wonderful to sit around a table of very passionate people that wanted to make a real difference in people's lives.
You know, one thing about you, Trevor, is as you go through life, it's not about the cars you own or the money, the cash, the houses. It's how you live. And when we come to the end of our life, on our little tombstone will be Trevor Oldfield or Pete Graham, 1950-2020. And the most important part, it's not the houses, the cars or the cash. It's that little dash between those years and how you use your dash. Trevor Oldfield, you have used that dash so well.
Thank you very much, Pete. I really appreciate that, and I just hope I've got a few years left to continue to, provide some service to the community and just make a difference.
Let's grow old together.
Why not? That sounds good to me.
I noticed you got that book of your life. Let's have a look at it.
Yeah, Pete, this is just a memento from when I worked at Westmead Hospital. I was only there for about 6.5 years, but the guys down there were just wonderful, and they put together a bit of a "This Is Your Life" when I left Westmead, and
look how thick it is then in those days.
Yeah, look.
What a cute little baby.
Well, yeah, that's me in the middle. They contacted my mum and got some of the old photos and did a bit of a presentation. Just wonderful. As you can see, look, I've been blessed with a wonderful family, 2 elder brothers. Spoilt because I'm the youngest, I think.
And the best looking too.
Well, I don't know about that. Maybe they're on the beach. It's come up really well. But I mean, this is wonderful to look back. There I am in a kilt, for goodness sake. It's just showing my feminine side. No, but I mean, look, it's just lovely for them to do that. Playing a guitar. Can I just say I can't play a guitar very well, but I look great.
You do look good. You're a bit of a singer. You were in a choir, weren't you?
Yes, I certainly. Yes, I was. I was in the school choir for some time. I had a really high voice actually, until it broke, and I was the lead singer in a choir at school at St Pat's.
St Pat's.
Good old days. But look, some of these pictures. My first girlfriend. I was 15 at that stage.
True love.
Never knew what life was going to bring forward for me. So, look, it's wonderful when I look at some of these pictures and how lucky I've been. And that's one of the things I've tried to do with Westmead Hospital, working with the Children's Hospital down there, Ronald McDonald House and so forth. I know how lucky I've been.
Karma. What goes around comes around.
Yeah,
mate.
well, you see these things day in, day out, particularly working in a hospital environment. and it's wonderful to just give a little bit back and make someone's life a little bit easier.
Tell me about the beard.
Well, that was a full set. That was in Fiji, my first trip to Fiji, just relaxing by the pool. I just thought I'd have a bit of a change and grow a full set. There was no Movember in those days, but certainly, it was different. I was pleased actually the day I shaved that off. It was my first child being born, Westmead Hospital. Lovely times. It's great to bring children into the world, and that's where you realise just where your responsibilities lie. So having a bit of fun, Westmead Hospital barbecue out on the harbour. You could always find me overhanging a barbecue, turning a sausage or two.
Yes,
wonderful times. I mean, seriously, they've done a great job of putting that together for me, and I really do appreciate it. And I suppose it just goes to show what they thought of me as a friend of theirs, and that friendship with all those people that were involved in it still continues today. So
you're a good man, Trevor.
Terrific. And thank you very much for your time today, Pete. It's much appreciated. And for someone I'll go back 30 years with.
You're in primary school.
Yeah, absolutely, in primary school. You've been a good friend. Appreciate it.